Hello, welcome back. So I have already talked about string, number, boolean, sequence types, and in this video I'm going to talk about mapping type. So Python dictionaries are actually mapping type. Python dictionary is a data structure where we can store the elements as key and value pairs. We can think like a lookup. So where we can use the keys to look into the respective values. So let's see how to use Python dictionaries in code. The way we declare Python dictionary is, let's say I have one variable called blank and equal to, we use curly braces. So this is a blank Python dictionary. So if we check the type of blank, it is actually I'm sorry. So if we check the type of the blank, so let's see type of the blank. So it's a Python dictionary. So let's say I have one dictionary called data, and the keys I have is like name and let's say Watson, and age is 30, and I have let's say profession and is doctor. So let me execute the cell. So let's check the data. It's a Python dictionary, and these keys are actually string keys, and we can store different values. Even we can store any kind of data type as a value. Even we can store the data structure as well, like list, tuples. Even a dictionary can be a value. So the way we access the value is, so in list we have seen like we can use the index, but here we use the keys. So let's say I want to access the profession key. So what I will do is I will write the data and pair of square brackets and then the property name. So here in this case we have profession. So if I execute, I get doctor. Doctor is the value. But here we have one problem if we access the key using the square brackets. So if the key is not present, let's say I want to access a key called language and that is not present in my dictionary, then it will throw an error. So let's see. So let's say I want to access language, and if I execute it, I will get one key error. So this language key is actually not present in my dictionary. So to avoid that, we can have two things. First thing is we can check if the key is present in the dictionary or not. And the way we check if the key is present or not is like we can use the in keyword. So if I do something like this, language in data. So if it is present, I will get true. But as this language key is not present in data dictionary, I am getting false. I can check like this. Also, I can do one more thing, that is we can use the get method. So data get language. Let's store in one variable called language and let's print it. So the value of the language is none, but we can set some default. Let's say I want to set the default language as Bengali. So the way we do is data get and language key, the value I am setting is Bengali. So if this key is present, it will try to get it, but if that is not present, then the default value will be Bengali, not none. So we will get Bengali. Instead of any error or none value, we are setting a default. So dictionaries are actually mutable. So we can change anything, we can modify anything. Let's say I want to modify the value of the age. So the way we can do is like data, and I can use the square bracket notation age, and I can set it to 35, and let's check the data. So after setting, the age is now 35, right? But what will happen if any key is not present but we are trying to set it? So let's check what will happen. So we know the language key is not present, so let me try to assign a value in the language property. So I have data and then language, and I'm trying to set as English, and let's check the data again. So a new key is introduced with the value of English, right? So if key is not present, then it is not going to throw any error. It will insert that value, and if the key is present, it will simply update with the value. Okay, now let's check few important methods we have in dictionary. So one of them is keys. So we can obtain all the keys using one keys method. So if I do this, key is equal to data dot keys, and if I check the keys, the value of the keys, it's actually dictionary keys. So if I check the type of the keys, it is actually type of dictionary keys, right? So we can do one thing, that is we can convert into a list before we can use it. So what we can do is keys equal to list of data dot keys, and if I check the keys now, it's a normal list. Similarly, we have another function called values. So what we can do is we can obtain all the values like this, list of data dot values, and if we check the values, so we get all the values in a list. Similarly, we have another method called items, and this method is going to return all the key values in a tuples. So let's see how it works. So what we can do is, I have, let's say, item variables. Similarly, we can convert into a list, and you can do something like this, data dot items, and if we check the items value, now it's a tuples of these key value pairs, right? So there is another way to create dictionary using dict class, right? So let's say I have one variable called new dict, and what I can do is I can use this syntax, so dict, and inside that I have, let's say, name equal to Anirban, and message equals to, let's say, I write ugly code but it works. So this is my new dictionary. So let's check the dictionary. So this is another way I can create dictionaries. There is another method called update. So if I do something like this, so data dot update, and if I pass new dictionary here, and if I check the data again, I can see the name got updated with Anirban, and a new property called message got added with the data. Alright, and remember one more thing, that is these properties are actually case sensitive. So earlier I already had the property with the lowercase, that is why my property name matched and it got updated with Anirban. But let's say I have another dictionary, and the property is name, and it is, let's say, xxx, right? So if I do something like this, data dot update, and I pass another, and if I check the data, so I got a new property. So now let's say I want to delete one key along with its value. So what I can do is I can use the del keyword. So if I do something like this, del for delete, and then data, and if I pass the key name, so it is going to delete that property along with its value. And if I check the data dictionary again, so I'll see that name got deleted. Alright, but what will happen if I try to delete the same property again which is not present? It is going to throw an error, right? And that will be key error, right? Because this is not present anymore. So that is it for now. Thanks for watching the video. In next video I will talk about set.